Thanks very much indeed, Jane. We're going to talk more about this with Stephanie Kleine-Ahlbrandt. She's the China advisor for the International Crisis Group, and she joins us live from Beijing. Stephanie, thanks very much indeed. I wanted to ask you, first of all, is this a diplomatic victory, in fact, for China?
You know, in many ways it is. We weren't expecting the release to come. We were expecting that there would be some movement on this issue, but it really came much earlier than we had anticipated. There were no indications yesterday in Japan that it would happen like this.
But it matters now that how did China achieve it? What do you think were the turning points? We talked about a possible reported export ban on rare earth minerals a little earlier in the program. We talked about the detention of 4 Japanese nationals as well in Hebei province yesterday. Do you think these were factors?
Well, you know, there are several factors in how the incident was resolved. First, it was the lowest point we've seen in Sino-Japanese relations since 2005, so there needed to be some resolution. Neither side was going to allow this to go on for very much longer. But at the end of the day, it really was Japan feeling the potential economic crunch because its sluggish economy depends more and more on China's dynamism.
Can you tell us a little bit more about how it's played in China and what the larger interest, what the larger sort of story would be sort of politically in China? Because I understand that there have been demonstrations there about this whole thing. The family of the detained captain has spoken to the media. It's going to matter how he's received back home. Is he going to be something of a national hero?
Well, you know, I think that it's important to look beyond precisely the actual dispute for what's at stake and why China was so ready to be so assertive about this incident. And that's that there's a long-standing territorial dispute between China and Japan over the Diaoyu Islands. And there's a long history of tensions between China and Japan over wartime occupation, over visits to the Yakushini Shrine, and other things. So I think that this was something that sort of struck a nerve in China. We did see that the Chinese leadership was quite assertive in dealing with this, breaking off diplomatic visits, calling in the Japanese ambassador, and making very strong statements by very high-level leaders. And I think that this was one way of trying to calm down feelings in China, which are usually very high with regard to Sino-Japanese tensions. And we saw in 2005 that things really boiled over. I think there was an attempt this time to try and keep that from happening.
Thank you. Stephanie Kleine-Ahlbrandt, live from Beijing. She's with the International Crisis Group.